What's going on, everyone? We've got an exciting one today, testing out the new aggression base from set 5, Temple of Destruction, with Asajj as its pairing. We've got a lot of cool things to talk about and a lot of really awesome new cards from set 5 that fit very, very well in terms of buffing up Asajj. Before we talk about the list and dive into some games today, a big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the channel. And also I have a TCG player link in the description down below for any of your Star Wars limited card needs. But let's dive into Asajj and what are we doing with set 5? Guys, this new base is going to be fueling all of our force synergies. So, Temple of Destruction, anytime a friendly unit deals 3 or more combat damage to an enemy base, we get the force token. Pretty awesome. Obviously, we can just play units like Greedo or Death Star Stormtrooper that have 3 power already. Awesome. Gonna trigger it automatically. But we have Asajj, which means we can use her action if we've played an event on this turn to go ahead and get an extra power on some things like Kylo Ren or Crafty Smuggler, which may not have that 3 power innately. This can definitely work because we have a lot of events. Things like Force Throw, things like Waylay, things like Surprise Strike, all of which can go ahead and, well, give us that event so that we can trigger her ability. Now, realistically, this is not a super event-heavy deck. We have Force Throws, we have Waylays, we have Surprise Strikes, all that good stuff. We're actually just kind of curving out, and we're utilizing the Force in conjunction with Asajj here. And yes, we are going to get some value. Like sometimes we're going to go Asajj into Force Throw and be able to first strike with Asajj and kill something before, we take damage on Asajj. We also have Darth Revan's lightsabers. Asajj is a Sith unit, so it will give her grit. So sometimes we actually want to take damage on her. We also have Shin and Balin as some new force units that are with set 5. Nice hidden shielded 4/2, very aggressive in Shin's case. And Balin gonna have that using the force to maybe re-up a shield on Crafty Smuggler or Shin, or just kind of a reset something, make it so that if an opponent played a unit last turn, it's going to get just exhausted now that it's been replayed, which can be very, very powerful. Darth Tyrannus, which is going to utilize the Force as an ambusher. That's exceptionally powerful. Darth Malik is actually really good because we have a Sith leader. So when he comes down, if we have Asajj deployed, he's going to be readied up immediately, which is really, really powerful, especially in conjunction with Darth Revan's lightsabers. We have Liberated by Darkness, which can utilize the Force to and get some value there. And overall, I mean, we are just leveraging these extremely cheap events as our main triggers for Asajj, utilizing the Force between Sorcerer's Blast, Darth Tyrannus, Balin's Skull, and Liberated by Darkness. And that's really all we need to do, hopefully. We also have Sith Holocron, maybe to pump up some damage and maybe just to deal some damage around if we get Darth Revan's lightsabers on someone. But that is the deck, guys. That's pretty much it. We're going to be diving into some games, and hopefully we can take some wins. All right, into the first game here, up against Avar Chris. And we're going to resource these Surprise Strikes. Our opponent has the initiative, which means they can kind of determine whether or not we want to go Kylo or Death Star Stormtrooper. And in this case, it looks like we could just go with Death Star Stormtrooper since they're playing a 2/3 in this case. So 2/3 into our double 3/1s is going to be pretty powerful. Got a 7th Fleet Defender, but I'm actually going to resource that because I want to go Kylo Ren Force Throw into Darth Tyrannus, which is going to be pretty nice here. And this kind of guarantees us to get the Force token. Obviously, it's not fully guaranteed. They could have, well, a Sentinel, like an Obi-Wan here, that can make things a little bit more tricky. But even with an Obi-Wan here, we could potentially generate the Force by playing Kylo Ren, Force Throwing, plus using Asajj action to finish off something. Like that could be a possibility. So we'll see what my opponent has. Avar without the Force base is a little bit interesting. And starting off with the Youngling Padawan, not exactly all that powerful of a start. Looks like they're just going to attack the base here, which is totally fine. I'm actually just going to attack their base so that I can guarantee get the Force no matter what here. And we'll see what my opponent decides to do following that up. They may have something like Spark of Hope here. Looks like they've got Neiman Strike. That's kind of fun. Okay. Neiman Strike. They're going to claim initiative, which means, do we want to Force Throw? Probably not. It's probably not necessary. Darth Revan's lightsabers looking pretty good here. I mean, we have a lot of options. We can go Darth Tyrannus this turn. We can go Force Throw plus Darth Revan's lightsabers on this turn. I mean, we could play. Ooh, and there is the unit here in Eth Koth. I mean, I could just knock out Eth Koth if I wanted to. I could also deploy and then put the lightsabers on Asajj and then smack Eth Koth, and that's going to give her a massive amount of power. And unless they have some sort of ambusher or something, it's going to be pretty tough. So I think this is a pretty safe play. And we're still going to be able to get in a bunch of damage, but what we're going to do is just drop this on here, hit the Eth Koth. That's going to make her a 10 powered attacker. And that means that it's kind of a must deal with unit. And we still have the Force Throw plus Darth Tyrannus on the following turn. So they're obviously going to use the ability from Eth Koth to generate a resource here. But I mean, I'm pretty happy with where we are situated right now. Again, we have a 10 powered attacker on the board right now. And my opponent doesn't really have the ability to really generate enough force to get Avar down anytime soon. But we'll see what they're going to do here. I like the Darth Revan's lightsabers. They could always have, I mean, who knows what they could have. They could play like Youngling Padawan and Neiman strike my Asajj down. Very, very possible. 10 powered Asajj, though, pretty nasty stuff. My opponent taking a little while to figure out what they want to do here. Looks like they may have just AFK'd. And oh, nope, they're still here. Okay, let's see what my opponent's got. Looks like they have a Jedi Temple Guard. All right, well, that is one way to deal with my Asajj Ventress. You know, Jedi Temple Guard, not a card that I'm really expecting to be all that powerful, but hey, you know, sometimes your opponent's got it. Do I want to go ahead and drop the Darth Tyrannus? I suppose. There's no real like value over keeping him in hand while we play a silencer. I mean, we just drew kind of an insane group of cards, but I'm not really sure what my opponent's plan here is. They've kind of just played cards that I'm not expecting them to play. The Eth Koth, definitely expected, but the Jedi Temple Guards, not something that I expected, and the Neiman Strike, also not something that I have necessarily expected. So, hey, we'll see. I did think they'd have an ambusher because I didn't expect people to actually be playing Jedi Temple Guards, but it worked out for them in this moment. We have the Force Throws, Double Force Throw, and Sorcerer's Blast. We can literally play every single card in our hand so far. Looks like they're going to go Impossible Escape, use the Force, which means they're going to go ahead and exhaust the Darth Tyrannus. We're going to get in for 3. And we'll see what my opponent decides to do. Remember, she doesn't actually get the 8 powered attack unless she's got a lot. Going to Ahsoka Tano us, huh? All right, let's go ahead and go. I suppose we'll Force Throw my opponent here. She used the Force once, which means that they can deploy the Avar this turn. Let's go with an attack in for 3 here. They're going to claim initiative. We're going to play the silencer, and we're going to Force Throw my opponent again. I'm surprised they didn't deploy with some other event that they had in hand, but they can't deploy unless they use the Force. There's a Depa Billaba. All right, so they went with Impossible Escape instead of Depa Billaba. I am very surprised they didn't just play this in ambush and kill my Darth Tyrannus. But hey, you know what? Not going to worry about it. Liberated by Darkness is a fantastic card. We have not utilized the Force a single time this game because my opponent is just playing some random cards right now. So I suppose we will see what's going to take place. But this Liberated by Darkness is an excellent, excellent draw. Very happy about that. We haven't even been able to use Asajj's ability. Oh, look at that. Going to come in with a Qui-Gon here. Not too bad at all. Let's go ahead and get in for 3. We'll see what my opponent's going to do because they're kind of incentivized to deploy, but they can't actually deploy because they need to use the Force in some way or another. They're going to claim initiative. That's fine. We're going to take attack for 2. We're going to pass. We've got a Greedo. I suppose we'll resource the Greedo. This one's going to be interesting because they're going to be able to attack Kylo or Darth Tyrannus and then, you know, put the other one down, which is pretty nice for them. We're going to be able to deploy Greedo, and we're going to attack him with a silencer. So, and we have the Liberator of Darkness for next turn. Oh, that was a mistake. That was definitely a mistake for my opponent. They definitely needed to attack the Kylo because they would have killed it, and then they would have been able to put the Dooku away. So now we just win on board. Okay, well, we just went on board. GG to my opponent. And in fact, if they had the Jedi Sentinel, would that have mattered at all? Not really. I'm surprised about this game. Again, Jedi Temple Guard's not what I expected, but they had the Temple Blob. I'm surprised they didn't play it that turn. They could have knocked out Count Dooku, and that would have been pretty strong, right? And we would have been able to get in a couple hits and everything like that, but I'm surprised they didn't go with that option. Saboteur is a pretty powerful play. A little bit awkward there because my opponent was just kind of not doing anything. Like, we couldn't actually utilize Sorceress Blast or Force Throw or anything like that. Because my opponent just didn't play plays that were, you know, not just immediately trading off. They did handle my 10 power to size, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we got there anyways. All right, into our next game, and looks like we've got a duplicate match here. Kind of an interesting one. I'm going to resource, kind of an awkward hand, but I guess I'll resource the Sith Holocron and the Surprise Strike. It may be that we have to go Silencer into Surprise Strike Death Star Stormtrooper, which is not a great start by any means, but that's okay. That's okay. We might be able to recover when we deploy Asajj. And I'm going to take the safe path and just deploy the Silencer. It's also just the most resource efficient play for us. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop the Silencer in. They're going to generate the Force, and we'll see what they do with the Force. Maybe they're just using generating the Force just for the sake of it. Always a nice way to absorb an action. They have a Yaddle. Yaddle's not bad. Nice little restorer there. Okay, we got ourselves a Waylay and a 7th Fleet. I think I'm going to go with resourcing the Waylay and just kind of transition a little bit over to the Space Arena. Darth Tyrannus looks pretty good. I could have potentially just resourced this Death Star Stormtrooper, as that would have given us the opportunity to play Waylay. But the way I'm thinking about this is my opponent's going to go Yaddle. We're going to have the Asajj Ventress deploy, and we're going to have a couple space units, which means we're going to be able to be pretty aggressive in the Space Arena. And then hopefully with Darth Tyrannus plus Asajj on that same turn, we're going to be able to kind of blow my opponent out of the water. But it's taking a little while to resource some units here, resourcing their cards. Let's see what they've got, though. Definitely could be a lot of different things. Jedi Lightsaber is one of those cards where it would have been kind of nice to hold on to the Waylay, of course, but not really that worried. Jedi Lightsaber, yeah, they can take out a bunch of units and everything like that, but again, not exactly all that worried. If they're going to try to race us, that is totally fine with me. Waylay still would be pretty good, but we're just going to go ahead and claim initiative and see what the next turn holds for us. Obviously, we can't really deploy Asajj into Yaddle. It's one of the kind of things that makes it a little bit weaker, but we can always deploy Darth Tyrannus and then just get an attack. And ooh, look at that. That is a Waylay. I do actually like Waylay quite a bit here. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go Waylay and Force Throw on this turn. And I think I'm going to start with Waylay on Yaddle. Waylay ends up being pretty good. I probably should have kept that over the Death Star Stormtrooper. I was thinking about it afterwards, but I don't really think there's going to be a turn where we want to play Death Star Stormtrooper. Since this turn, it was either going to be Waylay or Darth Tyrannus. And yes, I could play the Stormtrooper with the Waylay, but the Surprise Strike's just a little bit too valuable in a game where we're going to be racing our opponent here. There's a Luke Skywalker. Sure. Let's go ahead and get in an attack 4-4. And then we're going to Force Throw our opponent after we deploy this Asajj. And my opponent can't really do anything. They don't really, or they may have a 0 cost unit, I suppose. Let's deploy Asajj, force throw our opponent. It's not like we can even kill it anyways with Darth Tyrannus discard, so we may as well make them discard and then finish off their Luke with the Asajj attack. And that's going to be a Gunji. We'll hit them, finish off Luke, attack in for 3, pass. And I mean, that was a pretty fantastic turn. Let's resource the Crafty Smuggler here. It's going to give us the option to go Fifth Brother plus Surprise Strike or just the Darth Tyrannus. We still have the Force once again. My opponent, once again with these Ivar decks, Avar, it's a lot of setup, and with all the waylays, force throws, etc., it's really tough to get set up, to be honest, and actually get your whole strategy working. But Jedi Lightsaber blind into a cunning deck is always risky. Not that they may have anything else to do, but it's just a risky maneuver, you know? For 5 resources, what could they have here? Well, they could have like Terentitech, which would probably be the strongest card in this spot. We still can recover because, ooh, Jedi Consular, huh? What do I want to do here? Do I just want to deploy the Darth Tyrannus? I think I'll just start with an attack in for 3 in the Space Arena. Because we could still go Surprise Strike on Asajj to first strike something down. But in this case, I think I'm just going to go Darth Tyrannus and knock out the Jedi Consular. We can make him take the 1 damage, and then we're going to ambush first, and then get the shield token, and then we can just get in for 3, and then pass. And this means that if we happen to draw up a Darth Revan's lightsabers, we drop it on Count Dooku, or Darth Tyrannus. I always say Count Dooku, but I mean, they're the same thing. Anyways, Darth Tyrannus, and he gets +3/+2, which is kind of cool, because he's also a Sith unit. So my opponent is completely screwed this game. I don't know how they could win. I mean, they could, I guess, have like, no, I don't even know. I have no idea how they could win. If they were in cunning, they could like evacuate us, like I suppose. But in this stage of the game, it is definitely on the over side of things. This Surprise Strike can allow us to hit for 7 with either Darth Tyrannus or Asajj. But I mean, we're just gonna go ahead and smack in for 7, and then Darth Tyrannus finishes it off. Not exactly a something that I'm necessarily worried about. Sentinel, not bad by any means. But again, not winning, which is the key part. They could have another Sentinel in ground, which would be, not too bad. If that was the case, then we would probably have to wait for the next turn. But that's GG. GG to my opponents. On to the next one. Into the next matchup. And, I mean, this one looks reasonable, but not amazing in terms of our hand. I think I'm going to mulligan this. This one is a little bit of a better hand, in my opinion. Let's go resource the Crafty Smugs and probably the Surprise Strike here. I do like Crafty Smuggler when it comes to this matchup. Director Krennic ECL. This is a deck that is on my radar. Director Krennic is very, very tricky for us to beat. They're going to have the restoring. They're going to be able to, ECL out a Vader or whatnot. I mean, it is very, very scary. Very, very scary. Inferno 4, pretty good card. We're just going to get in for 2. We're not going to be able to trigger the Temple of Destruction. But we're going to have a pretty nice curve out. Crafty Smugs into Shin Hati, not bad at all. They got a resupply, and as I said, it is a little bit scary to see Krennic come down so early. So early. We'll see if they decide to attack with Inferno 4. Probably isn't even worth it for them. They're going to take initiative, as I thought. There's a Greedo and a Surprise Strike. I'm going to resource the Greedo because we're probably going to play the Crafty Smugs plus Surprise Strike on this turn. We have the Sorceress Blast, which can be pretty good. They've got Takedown, which is totally fine. Let's go ahead and actually deploy Asajj because we can one-shot Krennic with a Surprise Strike here. Let's go Crafty Smugs here. See if they decide to deploy Krennic on this turn. Remember, they can ECL out Vader, and it's probably just game over next turn. It's how ridiculous that card is. If they have Vader, the game probably is just over. Unfortunately. They're going to claim initiative. We're going to get in a Surprise Strike hit and attack in. There isn't really much that we can do. As I said, we just kind of have to hope that they don't have Vader. If they have Vader here, it's over. they're going to kill Asajj and kill Crafty Smugs, and that's going to be GG. I mean, there's literally nothing that we can do. They can deploy Krennic and start restoring. So GG to my opponent. Vader. It's Vader, guys. It's Vader. It's not really surprising. They had the resupply, which they had to have the ramp, and they had to have the Vader in order to do that. And we just didn't have like enough pressure to really deal with anything like that. So good on them. All right, into the next game up against Kanan. We're gonna go to resource or a mulligan rather. This hand feels bad. Last game just conceding against the Vader, but I mean, what can we do? We can deploy Malik afterwards. It's not even immediately readied up. They're gonna start restoring. We have no like late game powerhouses besides the Liberated by Darkness. But even if we liberate by Darkness the Vader, we still don't win, which is really quite unfortunate. And pretty unfortunate for this hand, I'll say. Managed to mulligan into a hand with no turn 1 plays, which is very unlikely in our deck. But that's okay. That's okay. We're just going to have to make do. Let's go and resource this 5th brother. I mean, that is extremely unlikely. We have 15 turn 1 plays. So the fact that we don't have any turn 1 plays is like a 98% chance. Well, we already had a turn 1 play in the first hand. So yeah, I guess it's like a 94% chance after the first mulligan, but still, that is incredible. So here we're just gonna go Shin Hati. Not a bad one to play into the Attune Fearnock. I do like our hand. Darth Revan's lightsabers can be pretty good. I do like Force Throw. They're gonna attack the temple. We're gonna claim initiative. There's not anything else that we can do, but I do like Shin as the play here on turn 2. 5th brother would have been pretty bad here, so I do at least like what we're up against. We're just going to immediately Force Throw, and the reason being is I can Force Throw and then use Asajj plus the attack to kill Ezra. So I do think that's going to be pretty powerful, and then we can follow that up with Darth Malak after we deploy Asajj. So just go Force Throw our opponent. And again, this is just going to be fantastic. We're going to be able to take out that Attune Fearnock, and then we'll see what my opponent decides to do. They're figuring out what to discard here. Hopefully nothing too crazy, huh? Maybe they have all expensive cards. I'd imagine they have a 4-drop, so it's not like that we're going to take out Ezra with this Force Throw. Most likely, at least. Discard a Kanan. We're going to take out the Attune Fearnock. Pretty straightforward there. We'll see if they put a shield token on Ezra. If they do, I am very heavily considering just waylaying. But it really depends on what they decide to do here. They have to know that we have Asajj action to just knock out Ezra right now. So I think it'd be very tempting to put a shield token on the Ezra here. Unless, of course, they have something else. Ooh, Jedi Lightsaber. Yep, that's going to be an immediate waylay. Immediate waylay. Seems pretty fantastic for us. And now they're kind of in a tough spot. Force Throw us. Sure, we'll discard the 7th Fleet Defender. I'm surprised they didn't. I mean, they had a lot of options there. They had Shield Token, they had Force Throw, they had Jedi Lightsaber. Lots of options to go with there. And I feel like they picked the one option that ended up being really bad for them. We're going to deploy Attack for 4, pass. Oh my gosh, guys. Sith Holocron is fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the waylay. Even though I can deploy Darth Malak and I'll have a Sith unit. Let's say they have takedown here. It's gonna be like unfortunate for us, but we can still go Darth Revan's lightsabers plus Sith Holocron on Shin, and that's gonna be pretty nice as well. It's gonna allow us to attack for 8. But I mean, it's gonna be incredible here if we're able to get everything down, assuming they don't have a takedown, which would be like the worst case scenario. Attune Fearnock. Sure. Let's go ahead and go Sith Holocron on Shin. And then we're going to be able to deal 2 to Asajj. Put Darth Revan's lightsabers on here. It's going to be +4, +2. Seems good. Seems good. Let's go. I mean, also we could even go like, we could stall it out and go waylay on the attuned Fearnock. Huh. Let's go. Let's actually do that. I'm going to do waylay on the attuned Fearnock. Attack. And then I just attack base and then pass. A little bit of an odd play here, but I'm doing this because my Asajj just dies to the attuned Fearnock next turn. So what I could have done there is attack in. So I got 3 damage to the base, right? But what I could have done, well, I got 4 damage to the base rather, is attack it for 7 plus another 7, which would have been pretty good. Fell the dragon, huh? Let's go Darth Revan's lightsabers on our Asajj Ventress. Let's go Hotshot Blaster in for 7. We put a Balin Skull into the resource pile. We'll see what my opponent's got. Let's go ahead and claim initiative. They better not attack the Asajj, because then it's GG. Do not attack the Asajj. I promise you you'll regret it. Do not attack the Asajj. Yep, they're going to attack the base. Ooh, what a nice one. Another Hotshot Blaster here. So I think we're just going to immediately attack in for 7. They have to use a combination of these two to finish us off. The way this goes wrong is they play something like Ghost, and they are able to put up some bunch of Sentinel bodies. That can get a little bit scary a little bit quickly. So we do have to worry about that. But we can play everything in our hand right now. And all of them are lethal with the Hotshot Blaster. Sorceress Blast can be pretty good here. So what we could do is Sorceress Blast the Kanan, which means that these two are going to now trade. So if they decide to attack the Asajj, even if they were to get another Spectre out or creature, it's still going to die to the Asajj. So yeah, we're going to go Crafty Smuggler. And they probably have like a Luke or something. Or they may have a Luke at least. Which probably means I should have gone with Kylo Ren first. Actually, that sequencing should be reversed. Because they do have like a Luke. Then I think I just claim. Yeah, they don't have anything. I'm like, for 3 resources, there's very few cards in the game that Kanans are typically playing that is going to prevent us from winning. So GG to my opponent. Definitely an interesting sequence of cards there. And we kind of just rushed through it. The Jedi Lightsaber, 2 games now. Very, very big on the backfire for my opponents with that waylay. So coming in pretty clutch. Into our next matchup, we've got ourselves a match up against Snoke. Seems like a pretty exciting one. They're going to mulligan. We have a pretty okay hand. I'm actually going to resource the events. Not huge fan of that. But I think my opponent's playing a control deck, so I don't think Sorcerer's Blast is going to be that great. And even though Darth Malak is solid, I don't think I actually want to be playing him here. They're just going to attack, or they're just going to draw a card. And then we'll see what my opponent decides to do. Let's go with Shin Hati here. Snoke coming down pretty soon, actually. With the ramp, they're going to be able to get up to 5 resources here, which is going to be very, very quick. We have the Darth Tyrannus here. And we'll see what my opponent decides to do with this attack. All right, well, we'll obviously get rid of the Kylo. We'll attack in for 4. Then my opponent will obviously attack here. We're going to play Darth Tyrannus. Kill off their Dr. Pershing. They won't be able to draw an extra card. We will deploy. And then we will attack into their base for 3. Pass. Darth Revan's lightsabers is a pretty nice one. I'm a little bit worried, though, because they play the Piet, and they are at the point where they could ambush something out. So hopefully it's nothing too crazy scary here. They're going to deploy out Snoke. So I think what I'll do is just immediately Darth Revan's lightsabers up my Asajj. I know it's awkward, but they can They have Overwhelming Barrage. Yeah, that's going to mean that's probably just GG. OB is a little bit too rough for us. Attack into their base for 4. Attacking their base for another 4. They're going to give an experience token, and then we just play a 5th brother. But there's not much that we can do. Overwhelming Barrage was one of the things that we can't really do a whole lot about. I guess I could have put it on the what's it called? The Darth Tyrannus, which is something I should have considered, to be honest. That is definitely something I should have considered. I always forget that he's a Sith unit. Pretty cool, though. Cool, they're going to get another attack in. We're going to attack in for 4. We're probably just going to plan on Liberated by Darkness, seeing... Okay, they went with that, which ends up working out because we have another Shin. Let's go with a pass here. What does my opponent have? I mean... Ooh. Interesting. I mean, there's nothing we can do. I mean, we're going to claim initiative because we're going to steal their Snoke. They got double Snoke here. Okay. Getting a little crazy out here. We're going to get Liberated by Darkness. Their Snoke. A little bit crazy. Their Snoke's going crazy out here. They're going to... Phasma, huh? That is one beefy Snoke. And they're just going to win the game here, huh? There's not much else I could do. I mean, I could surprise strike their Snoke out. But that's not really a winning play. Snoke went crazy this game. Just getting an attack in and just getting growing and growing and growing and growing is incredible. I definitely think the Darth Revan's lightsabers on the Darth Tyrannus would have been the play. The only problem with that is that they would have been able to knock out... I mean, I don't have anything to play here. They would have been able to knock out my other units. They have Darth Vader here and the Knight of Ren. A little bit of a first order deck. Absolutely love it, by the way. The Overwhelming Barrage was a little bit too powerful for us. Good game to my opponent, but as I was saying, we definitely could have put the Darth Revan's lightsabers on the Darth Tyrannus. The only problem with that is, let's say we do that, they can always just Overwhelming Barrage and knock out Asajj anyways, and deal some damage over to Shin, which I believe we had on the board at the time, which means they knock out both those units, and we're left with the Darth Tyrannus, which doesn't even knock out Snoke. So it's like, yes, that could have been the play, but then I don't even know if that would have worked out all that well, especially with more removal. Definitely something difficult to play around. Really, we just had to have gotten on board a little bit earlier with a little bit of a different unit. I think just generating the Force a little bit quicker could have given us a few different options. But very, very solid game. Nice little first order deck from our opponent. I love it. Into the next matchup against not OG. The set 4 Han is what I meant to say. I was going to say OG, but that's not true at all. I like this hand. I don't know what my opponent's playing, to be honest. I have no idea whatsoever. But we're going to go with Death Star Stormtroopers because that's what I got. So hopefully it's not a 4-powered ground unit or 4-toughness ground unit. If it is, I'm going to be a little bit sad. They're going to activate Han to reveal the top card. Maybe it's a C-3PO. Okay, they've got an R2. Are they playing C-3PO here? They are playing C-3PO. Definitely a little bit unfortunate. C-3PO is going to do some work here. C-3PO. They could even play R2 next turn. It's also a 4-toughness unit. Ooh, rough. Rough. Okay, we have Balin. I mean, we're going to play Shin this turn. Again, not much that we can do. Not a whole lot. We're going to get our 3-powered attacker just get knocked out by this C-3PO. Activate Han. They're going to reveal whatever. They can choose the top cards. They're going to be able to draw an extra card. Pretty cool stuff. Absolutely love Han, by the way. This deck is a lot of fun. Would have been worth considering the Crafty Smugglers. It depends on what Han you're playing. Like I've noticed that a lot of the Han Reds are a little bit more aggressive, so they're not playing the C-3PO. But C-3PO is a very powerful card in the Han list, so I'm not surprised to see it at all. Opponent is taking a little while. There we go. Okay, let's drop the Shin. And we'll see what my opponent has to follow up. We can deploy Asajj Ventress next turn, which is going to work out pretty well for us. And there's the Cassian. Okay, finally getting somewhere. My opponent is taking a little while to finish off these actions here. Okay, that is actually a pretty nice draw. Very, very nice draw. I'm actually resource the Shin here. And we're going to start off by an attack in for 3 into the base. Force throw plus Darth Revan's lightsabers. We can really stack up a very high-powered unit here. Get an attack in for 3. Get it into the base. We just dealing damage to them. I wouldn't be surprised if they attack my Stormtrooper with the Cassian. They hate that ship, huh? War Juggernaut. I mean, if you're going to lose, you may as well lose in absolute freaking style. Good on my opponent. Absolutely love it, to be honest. That was absolutely sweet. So I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan, to be honest. I am an absolute, just huge fan of what they just accomplished there. So absolutely sweet. I really can't say anything else. I was not expecting they hate that ship. War Juggernaut. Like... absolutely sweet. There's literally nothing else I can say about that. Like, that is just so cool. They're gonna be able to knock out the Shin here with the Han Solo, so they'll get that done. They're gonna be able to use the C-3PO to knock out the Shin here, assuming it's an odd card. Oh no, they're gonna attack. Okay. Let's go ahead and deploy our Asajj. I honestly, I think that's just absolutely freaking fantastic. That was so cool. Okay, I'm gonna trade off here. Totally reasonable. Let's go ahead and drop a little force throw on my opponent's face. Force throw my opponent. I honestly, I've only seen the hate that shit War Juggernaut one time. And you never know what's coming from your opponent. You know, you just never know. They're gonna hit the BB-8. We're gonna knock out the C-3PO. We played an event, which means we can go Darth Revan's lightsabers and then knock out the War Juggernaut. So we're still in a reasonable position, but we're not in like a fantastic position by any means. Opponent definitely, figured out what to do, I suppose. Ooh, they're gonna go with the R2 piloted onto the War Juggernaut, huh? That's pretty cool. It looks like they kept the R2 to get some value. Oh, they're not going to. All right, well then we're just gonna do what I said earlier. Knock this out, pass. Darth Malak was a fantastic draw. Wow, that was probably our best draw, maybe outside of like Liberated by Darkness, but yeah, wow, fantastic. Very happy with that one. It's going to be an immediately readied up unit, assuming our Asajj doesn't just die here with like a, I don't even know what they could have. I mean, who knows what they could have at this point, guys? They're playing They Hate That Ship, War Juggernaut. Like that was absolutely sick. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I like our position with a 5/6 leader unit here with the grit potentially. So I do like that. We're gonna go Darth Malak. It's gonna be immediately readied up. They may deploy onto the Millennium Falcon here to just get some resources back. But if we're racing, I definitely like our spot significantly more than my opponent. So happy with that one. See what you got, opponent. Let's see what you got. Ooh, Greedo, huh? I mean, do I even care? I think I mean, I could hit the Greedo, but I think I just hit the base. This is one of those things where, yes, Malik has Overwhelm. Yes, I could kill Greedo. Absolutely true. But if I do that, they may be in a position where they actually could salvage the game, where, you know, Greedo, he flips, he's able to find an event, hit the Malik, and all that good stuff. The other consideration would be that I can reduce their resource count by 1 by killing Greedo, because they're obviously going to flip, which is something to consider. But I think it's more valuable just to go ahead and make sure. Ooh, that was a pretty good draw. Ooh. This makes it a leader unit, right? Yeah, so I can't take the Millennium Falcon. I was thinking about it, though. I was very much thinking about it. What can my opponent have here? I mean, obviously they could have Waylays. They could have... I think the higher likelihood... I mean, Surprise Strike actually just kills my Asajj if they use it on Greedo. So the question is, do they have, like, Waylay? Do they have Surprise Strike? I think the first thing I'm going to do is just Surprise Strike in with the Asajj. Get in for the 9 damage. I think it's more likely, oh, they happen to have the Waylay. That's what I was saying is, you know, do they have the Waylay? Do they have the Surprise Strike in? It looks like I guessed wrong. I had guessed wrong. So they are going to end up, you know, trading off their units and be in a decent position, to be honest. We will be able to deploy the Malik next turn. We don't have anything to deploy this turn, so we're just going to claim initiative. And the question is, do I want to go Liberated by Darkness next turn or Darth Malik? I don't know, but I guessed wrong on this turn. As I was saying, do they have the Waylay? Do they have the Surprise Strike? I think it's more likely for them to have Surprise Strike than Waylay, but sometimes you just hit the wrong guess. Let's go with Darth Malik here. And then we have the TIE Silencer. If they have another Waylay here, it's going to be really tough to win. Because I could play a unit, but I have to claim initiative. Do they have the Waylay? Wow, this is real rough. War Juggernaut, huh? Okay, War Juggernaut isn't quite there. It's not quite there. They could have also a bunch of other things. Like, they could be like, out of aspect, no good to be dead. Or, you know, whatever. Who knows what they could be playing. But it looks like we got there. Very, very close. That one, you know, almost like a 50-50 shot, because who knows if they're playing Surprise Strike or Waylay, almost cost me the game. It almost did. That in conjunction with my opponent not playing anything, because we had the Liberated by Darkness in hand. The only thing they have on the board is the Millennium Falcon, which isn't quite good enough. So really, really quite close game, actually, at the end of the day, even though I felt like we had a pretty good comeback in that mid-game portion. But the War Juggernaut was amazing because you got to remove the shield on Shin. The C-3PO early on was amazing because they got to knock out both Death Star Stormtroopers with just a single C-3PO. So really, really interesting game there. All right, into the next game, and I am not liking our hand at all here. Kylo Ren plus an expensive kind of couple of cards. They have Luke. I was hoping for something that's going to be able to either give us the Force immediately and start going to town there, but that's not quite where we ended up. Fifth Brother, good. Seventh Fleet Defender, good. What do I want to go with here? I think I'll just resource the 7th Fleet. Let's go with an attack with Kylo Ren. They're going to be able to knock out my 5th brother. There's not much I can do about it. Like, I could pass here. And if we just pass back and forth, they could, like, deploy a unit and then just not even bother. Like, if they deploy a unit, then I play 5th brother. Then they still can knock out the unit, right, with Tarkin Town. Like, it's just overall not that fantastic for me. My opponent here going to be able to do some nasty stuff. So I can Waylay and Sorceress Blast this turn. I think I'm going to want to do that. Let's go Waylay on red 5. I just want to reset the game a little bit. because if I don't do this, it's going to be pretty rough. Let's deploy Asajj now. Ooh, they have aggression. Yeah, I mean, that could be a little bit rough for us as well. I was hoping that they wouldn't have it. They're going to be able to ready up a unit, but then we're just going to go and knock out the black one. I suppose I could have played Sorcerer's Blast beforehand, and then we would have known by passing. But I was thinking that they would want to deploy more units rather than go with what they just did. But this ends up working out for them, I suppose. We're going to get in for 2. They're going to play Frisk. Oh, interesting. I suppose we will just go ahead and knock out a bunch of units here. Resource a Shin. Disabling Fangfighter, defeat the shield token, huh? Let's just go ahead and trade off with the Frisk here. Are they going to deploy the Luke onto the unit here? Yes, they are. And there's not much that we could do about it, because even if we put the Revan's lightsabers on the Dooku, they can just knock him out. So I think we're in pretty big trouble. That aggression definitely turned the tides of things. And of course, us not getting, something early on to work with this Kylo Ren definitely was pretty weak. Let's go ahead and attack in for 3. Let's go Shin. Let's go ahead and put the Revan's lightsabers on Shin. And I mean, oh, they have a Disabling Fangfighter as well, part 2. That's a lot of Disabling Fangfighters. So here, wait, what? Yeah, they intended to hit Shin, of course. Sure. Attacking for 4. I mean, we could still win with a surprise strike draw. Wow, Disabling Fangfighter is crazy, by the way. Double main deck Disabling Fangfighter is kind of insane. Oh, and then they have bigs. Okay, never mind. Well, the double Disabling Fangfighter definitely changed the game for us. Our opponent kind of had us on lockdown. They're playing a lot of upgrade hate, actually. The Frisk plus the double Disabling Fangfighter. There's a ton of upgrade hate in the meta or in this deck here. But, hey, they got us. Absolutely wrecked by the aggression. The only sequence that I could have done a little bit differently, I think, in this game was Sorcerer's Blast before deploying the Asajj. The only worry I had there was if I do that, then they just play a unit and then take initiative. Whereas if I deploy Asajj, they play a unit. I may not even want to attack or Sorcerer's Blast. Although I could, I guess, keep the Asajj not deployed instead. So either way, probably should just Sorcerer's Blast beforehand. But pretty good game. Really close, actually. My opponent kind of had the great finish there with the another Disabling Fangfighter and the bigs, because if we had drawn Surprise Strike, we still win. The Disabling Fangfighter put us out of, or put them out of lethal territory for us. So really close situation, but really fun game. All right, what did we learn with Asajj Red? Well, it was actually pretty strong. It was pretty strong. The obviously Darth Tyrannus, the Shin Hati. Shin has been an absolutely fantastic card, making it so that you can't use your 2-drop to attack her initially because of the hidden, and then the shield, it really makes it obnoxious to deal with. Absolutely loving that card. We didn't get to see Balin at all. Darth Malak coming down immediately readied up was pretty awesome. Overall, the deck just really solid in general. Lots of decks today, though, were definitely on the more interactive side. We had like aggressions coming in. We had the Snoke deck. We had, the Kanan deck. Lots of interaction to deal with Asajj outside of just the units, which is going to be pretty typical, I'd imagine, going forward. The Snoke deck, or the Krennic deck especially, not the Snoke deck, but the Krennic. Oh my gosh, guys. Vader? This isn't even Asajj. Like, Vader ECL, and I've played already a deck with Vader, and I think the title of that video was like making people rage quit. Vader is gross. It is a gross card, and most decks just concede when you ECL a Vader out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Krennic or Kira be one of the best decks in the entire format when the set 5 fully releases. So pretty fun stuff regardless, though. We were able to get there a lot of the games. The Darth Revan's lightsabers is really awesome in Asajj. We didn't get to see a big attack with it. My opponents definitely were focused on taking it out. But nonetheless, it's still pretty aggressive and looking to win games fast, which you all know. You all know I love doing. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you all for the next one.